Welcome to this update in which we can see that the markets are in a massive bull market and it's insane how much of a profit everyone is making. But if we are actually looking at the markets right now, you're getting massive opportunities. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Before we're going to continue, make sure to subscribe and like this YouTube update. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram. I'm doing a Q&A on Instagram today where you can ask me everything and I'll be answering it as I am having a very special first day, hopefully, which is currently happening, and I hope I can inform you relatively fast about that topic. If we are looking at the markets right now, we can see that the markets have been dropping quite fast. We have hit the 30k level for Bitcoin, and if you want to know everything that I have been analyzing about the markets, check out my live stream from last night, 19:30 Central European time. I've been live for 90 minutes discussing everything around Luna, discussing my future predictions of Bitcoin, discussing everything macroeconomic with the yields and the dollar and the impact of that on Bitcoin. And I concluded there that we could be hitting the market's bottom within 24 to 48 hours. And right now we have got a question of how fast we are going to recover out of that and how deep we are actually going to go. Well, if we are looking at the market structure at this point, we can clearly say that the Luna fiasco or the death spiral that we got with the Luna case is having an impact on the markets. And if everything is all right, I'll be making a second update today covering the topic around Luna to inform you what has been happening and my expectations from the markets. In itself, if we look at the markets, we can see that we've had a capitulation week. We have been crashing down quite fast, resulting into a drop to 30k, resulting into a high volume level, which is comparable to May 2021 crash, right? So in the previous period or in the previous year, we had two moments where we had the exact same type of volume, December crash and May crash, which were both quite harsh. So I think that we've seen capitulation, and now the question becomes whether we're going to have a sideways accumulation or whether we are having a V-shaped recovery, and that's what we're discussing here. Now, if we're looking at Luna, for instance, Luna had an additional impact on the crash. I think that we would not have been going that far down if we would only be looking at macroeconomic factors. Luna is just giving an additional reason for the downwards move, and it accelerated yesterday because that peg between USDT and USD was lost. So that's why I'm going to make a second update today if everything is going to be fine today. Secondly, you might be seeing it, but hay fever is killing me. It's the downside of living in the Netherlands. It's an allergic reaction and I'm not doing really well with it, but hey, I just want to make content. If we're looking at the price action, the mentality right now, I'm doing that Q&A on Insta, and some questions are we in a bear market? Are you expecting it to go lower? Should I sell my positions now and buy back lower? I think I've concluded that yesterday on Twitter already. It looks a lot like bull market euphoria, where the overall sentiment and conclusion is that we're going to go higher. And based on that factor, new people or retail are eager to buy into the market, getting wrecked overall. If we're looking at the opposite of that, it is that the overall consensus is that we're going to go down, and that the overall consensus is that you have to sell your positions because you're going to be buying back lower, which is usually not the right option to do so. So if you are in a position where you're currently still holding your positions and you were not been selling in the past months, I think right now is the moment to just keep it and DCA with the additional funds that you could get out of fiat, or rebalance your portfolio if you want to. Then second, if you don't have any positions, I think you actually want to get longs going here in this region, or you want to start getting that going, because the pain is not on the downwards anymore. The pain is actually upwards, as if you're looking at the funding rates, mostly are negative, meaning that shorts are paying longs, but also the overall consensus is that we're going to go down even more, resulting into probably a fast bounce, at least for some relief rally. Also from an investment thesis perspective, I think you want to look for longs overall, in a sense that the upside is getting absolutely insane when it comes to the market. So what do we actually want to see when it comes to a bottoming scenario with Bitcoin? That's what we're going to discuss next. Alright, so when we're looking at the price action of Bitcoin, we can definitely conclude we've just witnessed a very harsh correction, right? We've had a new downwards move. The level at 37.5 couldn't result into an actual bottoming scenario. and we started to nosedive, and that accelerated yesterday due to the Luna case with USD. Now we have been retesting this entire block around 30k here, which was ultimately the final level that I was expecting it to do. So if we lose the level at 37.5, I've made that bearish scenario last week on YouTube. Definitely check it out if you have been missing that one. So we are looking at a case where we have been losing the support level here. The question now becomes whether we're going to have a bounce and then are going to continue this downwards trend, like a copy paste of the scenario that we have here, in which we're just going to get this bounce and then have some period like this before we actually start trending up again, concluding the bottom information, in which we might be testing 24 to 27. That is the midterm scenario, and that is all depending on how Bitcoin is going to bounce out of this area that we are having here, and that is the lower time frame, which I've also been discussing yesterday on my live stream. What you can see here is that usually when you are having a bounce taking into account, you will be expecting a bounce to be taking place at least to the previous order block, right? So when we're looking at the case of May, for instance, we can see that we've had a pretty harsh wick south. Then we bounced back towards this order block and start consolidating before all the levels are tested, and then we start continuing the upwards momentum. So right now the volatility is quite high, and you can assume that the volatility remains to be quite high after such a big downwards crash. Here you can see the exact same. We crashed south, test the level, consolidate, and then we drop down again, and here we start retesting this order block again. So in that case, if we're looking at the current structure, we can divide two order blocks. First one is the one at 35, and the second one is the one at 36. And then we also still have 37.5. Those are all levels that we should be taking into account. The first question is going to be whether Bitcoin is going to crack 34.5. That is the first level to test. If we cannot break that level, then the assumption is that macroeconomics are still taking its part, and then we're going to have that downwards test and start looking for lows here for the bullish divergence and have a longer accumulation period. To me, that 34.5 level is very important. Secondly, if we do break 34.5 and get towards 36.5, for instance, and flip 34 for support, then I'm assuming we're going to break 37 and we might be testing around 42k next. So for me, these two blocks are the essential parts. If we are able to crack 34.5, the continuation seems likely to be happening here, and then I'm expecting us to continue the trend. If we can't, then I'm assuming that we're going to have a longer period of sideways action. But knowing that the Luna case has been making this crash happen here, I think that going back towards 36 to 35 is not a bad case here, because that should be the value at this point. Especially macro and the indices are bouncing back up today, and the CPI data is coming in tomorrow. It could be an additional trigger for a faster bounce or a faster drop down. It's all depending on these two scenarios. So when we're looking at Luna, for instance, I think that we should be seeing continuation towards 36, but it's all depending on this block, how we are going to have a recovery from here. That is actually the update. I'll be back later today with a longer update if we get more information and if I'm ready to do so. There's not much more to say at this stage. I think looking for longs is overall the case. Staying calm, DCAing, being independent from your emotions, that's the way to go forward with. Don't do stupid shit. I'll be back later today or tomorrow with a new update. Make sure to subscribe. Check me out on Instagram for the Q&A today, and have a wonderful day, and I'll be back later.